Hey guys, happy Monday. Welcome back to Room 121. So I am so excited. This is our first week diving into all the fun language arts things. We are going to start our book study on Seed Folks here in a few days, and today we're going to take some time to learn about some of the reasons why we're studying this book, specifically our study on what it means to be empathetic, what it means to build community, and overall, how do we take those themes from this book and apply it to our own classroom community. But specifically, we are going to be breaking down this book and using it to study how we cite textual evidence to support an analysis of a text. We'll get into all of that in a few days. And also how to determine themes from a literary text. But before we jump into determining themes, and citing textual evidence, and actually reading the book itself, we're going to learn what empathy is today, and we're going to set up our notebooks. So first, let's talk about empathy for a second. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. So why is it important for us to understand and share the feelings of someone else? Throughout your life, you guys are going to be working with diverse groups of people, both in this classroom, in your high school classrooms next year. If you go to college, you'll be interacting with diverse people there. When you enter the workforce, you'll be interacting with diverse people in whatever career field you go into. It's a part of life. We are surrounded by people who are different than us. In order for us to be successful in our work and in our school, we have to be able to work with diverse people. And sometimes in order to work with them, we have to be able to understand them. We might not agree with everything they do, we might not agree with every part of their lifestyle, but we understand them. And that's the big thing I want to put out about this idea of empathy. Empathy does not mean that you are okay with everything someone else is doing, or that you agree 100% with something that someone else is doing. Empathy means that you are mature enough to be able to see their situation and their opinions and to understand why they might feel that way. And in the same way, in our classroom especially, we should expect that of one another. That not just you show empathy, but you should be able to walk into our classroom both virtually and digitally and expect that we're all going to respond in an understanding way. Empathy allows us to create connections with different groups of people and different individuals of people and actually have a positive, powerful influence on their life, but also let them have a powerful, positive influence on your life too. So for those of you who are like me and you're like, Ms. Palmer, I don't know how to be empathetic. I don't know how to grow empathy. Like, how do you even begin to be empathetic? This is the language arts teacher in me who is so pumped to say this. Reading helps you become more empathetic. I know this is crazy to think about, but when you're reading a book, that's one of the only experiences in our entire life, our entire day-to-day life, where you can actually put someone else's shoes on, so to speak, and walk a day in their shoes. It's one of the only times when you are actually in someone else's head. That practice of getting into the character's head, hearing their thoughts, feeling their pain, seeing their challenges firsthand through their eyes allows you to then take that skill into your real life. So then you can interact with the people around you and you can easily put yourself in their position based on your experience from reading. So one of the reasons we are reading Seed Folks is for us to study what it means to be empathetic to people of different races, ethnicities, cultures, backgrounds, ages, beliefs, life circumstances. All of those things make up what it means to be diverse. This book has a set of diverse people as characters. There are 13, I can't even make that with my hands. There are 13 different characters in this book, but it's actually really awesome how this author chose to write this story. Every single one of those characters is a different age, possibly a different race, a different cultural background, a different ethnicity, a different belief system behind how they see the world, and they all have different personalities and life circumstances. The one thing these 13 characters have in common is Cleveland, Ohio. So as we're reading this book together, we are going to really focus in on the different perspectives of these 13 characters. And through that study of these 13 different characters, we as a class are going to learn how to empathize with those characters, because we're going to be seeing exactly what happens to them firsthand through their narration. We're gonna have discussions about that in our live Google Meets. You guys are going to be doing activities over how the theme is revealed through every single different character. And you guys are also going to learn how to cite evidence from this book to prove that those themes are emerging. So on Thursday, I mentioned that you guys needed a notebook for today. Well, you do. You need a notebook. You are going to make a page for all 13 characters in your notebooks. So every single character gets their own page. I'm gonna walk you through what layout I want you guys to make in your notebooks in this next little clip. Okay guys, I'm gonna show you how I want you to set up each character page for each single character in the book. So there are 13 characters total in the entire book. That means there are 13 chapters total because each character gets one chapter to tell their part of the story. Every single character is going to get their own individual page as you see here. So first, in the top line, I want you guys to write the character name. That's the first step. So for whatever chapter or whatever character you're on, that character's name is going to go at the top. And remember, every single character is getting their own page, so you're going to have 13 pages total at the end of this. And over here, I'm gonna give you the order that they go in, so you can just say chapter 1 or chapter 2 or chapter 3, whatever chapter that character happens to be. From here, I want you guys to write down their age and their ethnicity, because those two things are going to be very important as we understand their perspectives throughout the story. While we're reading, we are going to be making inferences. So this next section, you can label inferences. You're gonna create a giant box. And then in that box, you're gonna split it up into 3 columns as best as you can. Does not have to be perfect. And then you're gonna say Q1, which means question 1, question 2, and then question 3. So each chapter we read, you guys are going to go through and answer these questions for every single character. This is going to help you comprehend the text, which means that's going to help you understand what's going on in the story, but it's also going to help you make inferences, which is a big skill in 8th grade. So the biggest thing on top of learning how to make inferences is that every single thing we do in language arts this year and for like your whole life, you have to have evidence to support those inferences. So up here, really quickly, just make a little note to yourself. Include evidence from the text. And then below this, we are going to start documenting some themes that are emerging throughout the story. And for this part, we're not going to make a box or anything. You just need to leave a little bit of space. And then the last thing you need to include for every single character is a little tiny piece at the bottom that says garden information. So any information we learn about the community garden, we're going to jot it down in this bottom box. So as a whole, this is what your page should look like. I'm going to zoom out for just a second. You should have your character name, their age, their ethnicity. You should have an inferencing section with the 3 questions. You should have a spot where you can put themes and a spot for garden information for each and every single character. And just in case I forgot to say it in the other parts of the video, this 13-page notes section that we're making, which again, every single character is getting one. There are 13 characters, so you need to make 13 of these in your notebook. They can be front and back, that's fine. We need these done by Thursday at the time that your class has a Google Meet. So for example, if you're in my first period class, you need to complete this notes assignment or this note creating assignment by Thursday at 10 a.m. Second period, you need to create this, all 13 pages, by Thursday at 10:30 a.m. and so on and so forth. If you guys have any questions, let me know. So once you guys have your notebook set up, you guys are going to use that notebook to close read this book, which we'll get into next week. So right now the main thing is making sure that your notebook is set up by Thursday. So by the live Google Meet on Thursday, you should have your notebook set up with 13 pages for 13 characters. Every single page is going to have that layout that I listed in the clip before. As we are learning to empathize with these characters, and as we are learning about themes and how to cite evidence, and how to communicate with one another in discussion, you guys are going to go back to that notebook. That's going to be your center of information. So every piece of information about the characters, about the plot, about the evidence, about the themes, inferences, all of it is in that notebook, so that when we get to our writing assignment in a couple weeks, all you have to do is open your notebook and you've got everything you could possibly need right there in front of you. I am so excited to read this book with you guys. I think it's going to be such a great experience to go through with you, and I think it's one of those experiences that is going to bring us together as a class, both academically but also in our discussion of empathy and community on a personal level too. So if you have any questions about how to set up your notebook, or if you need any help doing that, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Remember, we are going to start reading this book next Thursday, September 10th. I also convinced all of our 8th grade teachers to read this with us, which is awesome. So if you see any of your 8th grade teachers over the next couple days, ask them about Seed Folks and ask them if they're going to read it with us. If they've already started, you can ask them what they think about the book. Once we start reading and we have reading assignments and page numbers and things like that, you should also call them out if they don't stay caught up on our reading. Let's make this as fun as possible, and let's make this a shared reading experience that's going to bring the whole 8th grade together. Today, when you show up to our Google Meet on Monday, you guys will be doing an activity about setting. Okay, so we're going to learn about Cleveland, Ohio. We're going to learn about what makes that setting so unique to the story, and how that setting is going to be so influential to the theme and to the plot of this story. I'm just so excited about this, and I'm so thankful for you guys, and I cannot wait to see you today in our Google Meets. So without further ado, have a good day.